All right, welcome back to the Black Fatherhood Legacy Podcast. My name is Jay Cortez Thomas, and we have
Dwayne Wilson, man, it feels good to be back.
right,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
man. COVID ain't no joke,
It's
man.
not.
And we got our man over here. What's your name, sir?
Saloome Muhammad. It's nice to be here with you, brothers.
Yeah,
Man,
Saloome.
glad to have you.
Yeah. So last week, I had my brother Dave Huff on, talking about how we need really good curated Black representation on television. Just it helps to have positive Black imagery in television, movies,
Right.
billboards, magazines, whatever, because we don't know what it's doing to the psyche of the young kids, right?
Mhm.
And so we want to transition that into this topic for this week, mental health. So there is a stigma that comes along with mental health, especially in the Black community. That stigma is negative.
Yes. Indeed.
Very negative. The way that we tend to look at mental health in the Black community it's really spearheaded by us. But there are some additional things and reasons why we look at mental health the way we do in our community. And I think a lot of it has to do with the outside, the way that they look at us and have looked at us over centuries here in the United States. We've been that culture that has to just put up with.
Right.
Through slavery, through Jim Crow, through all these different things. We just had to get through it, right? You just have to suck it up, right? And so we have a generation or generations of Black men who have been taught to suck it up, right? And just toughen up, suck it up, just get through it. We never been taught to deal with our issues because we didn't have an outlet to deal with our issues. And so we really only had, so I talked about this the other day. My parents are what? They grew up during the civil rights movement, right? They were born into that, right? And so we're only one generation removed from an era where we didn't have access to the knowledge around mental health, let alone what to do or where to go to even deal with it. And so I brought this paragraph from online that I thought was kind of cool. In addition to inferior quality of healthcare treatment received by marginalized folks, centuries of non-consensual medical research on minorities at the hands of white doctors, language barriers, and lack of representation in the field, and dangerous law enforcement responses to crisis calls contribute to the fear and mistrust of the healthcare system that often presents and to marginalize identities from seeking care from Western medical providers. It is necessary to provide legitimate cultural relevant alternatives to the medical model to improve the existing mainstream systems and to provide sufficient care to all people, not just those who benefit from the systems that are already in place. So basically, we're talking about the fact that, Tuskegee, all these other things that have happened, we've been guinea pigs for a lot of stuff, and we just don't trust the system, and we don't trust people using our community as a way of, whatever it is. And we just don't want to do it.
The example.
But what they're talking about is we have to take the initiative to do that ourselves. So it's got to be more community mental health than it is what do they call it? Systematic mental health, right? And so, white folks, they have a lot of access, I guess, in the sense of, where in their culture and in their history. So going and seeing a shrink is okay.
It was natural for them.
It's natural. It's okay. It's accepted. It's a part of life. It's what they do. For us, going and seeing a shrink is
that's the farthest thing from our mind.
They don't exist. We de-stress and release in different ways. That's why Black folks, that's why we laugh so hard. You know what I'm saying? Like you go see a comedy show with Black folks, they laying on the ground laughing.
That release.
Because it's that release, and we don't get that release other ways. We have to find ways to release it. And so I know as Black men in my group, early on when we were young, we didn't do that. We didn't call each other and just check in. Like, man, how you doing? You all right? Especially if somebody was going through something, we didn't rally around him. If we did, it was very negative. Like, we'll come and bring you something to drink or bring you something to, but it wasn't, hey man, I just want to know how you doing.
Like,
are you all
like,
right? Can we have a conversation? Yeah. Do you need somebody to talk to? And so I just wanted to talk about that and how we can represent something different in our age amongst our community, because you have a community of black men around you, you have a community of black men around you, I have a community of black men around me, but we have to be responsible to be the catalyst for that stuff to take place. You know, so for me, I know my boy Dave, who was on here, my boy Mike, all these, we often check in with each other. Like, just, how you doing? You all right? Especially if something happened or somebody went through something, or something's going on, a family member passed away, something, like, are you okay? Do you need me to come over there? You know, whatever it is, you know, and I don't think we do that enough because we have to take the responsibility.
Right.
You know, also, I do stress that we should take advantage of going and seeing somebody and talking to somebody because it is healthy. I think we just don't do it because it's just not culturally what we do. And I want to change that because the stigma around it doesn't need to be that, because it really is confidential. It really is therapeutic. It really does help for not only just individually, but for families, black families, to go do that, to hash it out. Because how many black families, how many in your family, we got internal.
It's always going to be internal issues. And if there's no way to get that outlet out, they will never be solved. And just to piggyback, it starts with the imagery of the healthcare that we were accustomed to growing up. We seen it certain ways, we realize, and I mean, as you get older, you learn more about it. So you see the negativity that's given or whatever the case may be. And if you're unknowledgeable in whatever the case is, you're not going to trust the system in none of that.
Right.
And you've been programmed to see this and see this for what it is. And depending on the skin color and where it's coming from, that's the biggest thing. Now, going back into our community ourselves, if we're able to present with our own skin tone to our community, it's going to be looked at differently because they see somebody like themselves doing something different.
Right.
That's in that imagery there. But it's unfortunate. I've always had a mixed emotion feeling when it comes to therapy and my personal self. But I will say, being married to my wife, she's been able to open my eyes to a different way of being able to release. Like, you know, we all have our own catalyst and what we do to de-stress or whatever the case may be, but having someone outside of literally everything and knows nothing to be able to talk to and get an opinion, it's different. It's definitely different.
Yeah, it's and somebody that don't know you.
They don't know you at all. Yeah. So when it comes to that, it can be a different type of release. But you also got to find comfortability in just knowing you got to be able to get it off your chest. Because if you don't, it's going to weigh more heavy on you. And that's going to create more mental health issues longer on down the line.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you don't get it out, it comes out another way.
It's going to come out one way or another, no matter how hard you try to hold it in.
Yeah, and I think that's where we get the angry black man, the angry black woman syndrome, like, that's plastered all over television and this, that, and the other. It's really not it's really nothing cultural. It's not a staple of our race or anything. It really is just aggression built up.
It's been suppressed for so long.
It's a suppression of aggression. Like, if you suppress what you feeling, you're gonna let it out at some point, and it's gonna
it's gonna go one or two ways.
Yeah.
Depending on how much you've pulled in and how much anger you've held in for so long.
Right.
It don't take much for that volcano to explode. Once it's active, it's active.
Yeah, and the thing is too, man, people gotta understand, like, it's hard enough being a man, a father, a husband, a boyfriend, just a male, period. But a black male, then you got to deal with all of the issues with plaguing the black community, the way you're looked at, the way you. So there's a lot of stress that comes along with just being a black male in America. Like, just waking up every morning knowing you get sweaty and nervous when you see the cops.
Yeah.
And you haven't. I don't have no record. I ain't got nothing. But every time my tags is good, I'm dry. But every time I see that, it's just
it's something in you that just
because I know that they're looking at me as
another.
And especially if, because me and Dave was talking about this last week, we can't do what everybody else does. Sometimes I like to wear a baseball cap, a hoodie. It's comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to dress up every day. I don't wear a suit and tie. I don't wear a polo shirt every day. Like, it's comfortable for me to do that on the weekend. But when I get in my car,
you take the hat off.
I now fit the description, regardless of who I am as a person. That's stressful. And so now you're thinking about, should I take my hat off? Do I need to wear my hat? Everybody else don't got to do that. Other races don't have to do that. But we got to sit there and think about that. We got to process every single part of our day, how we're looked at, how we come across, everything. And it's stressful. But where do we release it?
Yeah, how can we get it out in a positive manner and not showing that angry black man per se? Like, what do we do? Like, what do you do in your sense of like trying to de-stress when, you know, it's just, you feel like it's too much?
I smoke. But I want to say this. I mean, to me, I believe that a lot of young black men feel like reaching out for help in any type of way is a symbol of weakness. And so we tend to stay away from seeking help. You know, you go tell mama you heard of some other brother teasing you, you know, about get up, tough it out. You know what I'm saying? Don't come up here complaining.
Right.
If it's something that, you know, someone probably should be able to get did, don't go asking for help.
Right.
And even with you know, I don't know. I was just taught that don't ask for help, even in sickness. I don't, in as far as the trust thing, like why would I trust somebody that I know don't have me in their best interest?
And where it comes.
Someone shouldn't trust me if I don't have them in their best interest, because I really don't care about them.
Right.
And so as far as me helping them, they shouldn't think that I want to help them
in that manner.
You know, I probably want to hurt them.
Right.
So I don't look for help coming from the system, because I don't think it has me in their best interest.
And that's why I like what the guy said in this thing about us taking responsibility for each other, because stuff like this podcast is black men taking responsibility for each other.
Right.
Like saying, hey, brother, I'm going to pick you up by, like, I'm going to tell you how to do this. I'm going to teach you how to do that. We help each other out, as opposed to the system. Like, we got to go to, I'm not a big politics guy. I don't really get into that just because I don't believe in it, because I don't believe in systematically helping anybody. I believe that people help other people. I believe that every real change happens at the grassroots level, where people decide I'm going to do something about something and they change it. If you look at anything, the real change that has happened in our history, from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to Malcolm X to any of that stuff, that was all grassroots. That was not systematic.
No, they had to be.
They had to go against the grain of the system in order to make things happen. And so we need to be responsible for each other. And in that sense, if you do see a youngster that doesn't want to use an outlet because they are, like you said, told, don't say nothing, suck it up, you'll be all right, go, you know what I mean? If you hearing that, it's like, well, let me be that ear. Let me go in there and say, you could talk to me.
That's where it changes within the community.
Right.
That's exactly what it is. Because you can be taught that throughout your life. We all grow up in that sense of you holding on, you're a man, stand on your own, you got it, you can do it. But if you've seen somebody that grew up very similar to you and been through same situations, then they're like, look, I understand, I know, but if you need to talk and just let a little bit out, you can talk.
You can talk to me, yeah.
Or you ain't even gotta talk to me. If you just need to just come sit by me, just chill, whatever, just be in the presence, just to debrief or just de-stress, then that's a change in the next path, because he's gonna look at it a little bit differently. No, I didn't have to go do this or do that, but I know I can have somebody to talk to. Right. That's just the first couple steps in it. It's just trying to figure out who you are comfortable talking to and if you're comfortable. It don't happen all the time and immediately. It takes time.
Yeah, and it's something that it ain't gonna happen overnight. We're not gonna see this drastic change in our community that people just. But I say, like, if somebody's hearing this right now, they got the opportunity in their circle. It's all about you influencing your circle. Yeah. I got nephews, I got just youngsters in the community, I got people just around me that I can influence in that way. So right now I have a nephew, he's about 20, I think he's 27. And so we have this communication now. He's a grown man, right? So it's a different type of communication we have when my nephew was, a kid or whatever. But I feel like he can come to me with stuff and talk to me in different ways. And I encourage it because I want him to get it out, and I want him to get it out in a form that he feels is safe. Right. You know what I'm saying? Where he could just say whatever he needs to say, stuff that he can't take to his mom, stuff that he can't go take to his dad, something he can't take to his boys. You know what I'm saying? Because, and we got to know that too. We got to know who we could take what to, because I sometimes feel like there's things that I can't take to mom. There's some things I can't take to my sister. There's stuff I can't take to my boys. There's stuff I can't take. So I got to know who I could take what to,
safety net,
and know that I'm going to get whatever I'm going to get. I know there's people out there, like I got boys that they don't say nothing when I talk to them. They just listen. And if I just want to be listening, I just talk to that dude, because he's just going to sit there and just be like, all right, yeah, just get it out. You know what I mean? But then I got that boy that's going to give you all the feedback in the world. Yeah. You got to know who you're talking to and why you're going to go to that person at that given time. And then we all need to have that within our circle, because if we don't, like you said, it can get toxic because you hold on to it. And holding on to it is not the business. It just ain't good. Because we tend to have those moments, the outbursts.
Yeah, and you don't even expect it. It could be the smallest thing, and you just burst, and you're wondering where it came from. But you see, if you're able to sit back and realize that you've already had this pent up anger inside of you, so as soon as it hits the fan, you're ready to go with it.
Right.
But it's gonna take time. It's a process, but it starts at home. It starts with us. Like I said, I wasn't one too fond of going to seek therapy or anything of that sort. That just wasn't it. Like Saloome said, like, you all right, you'll be good, you'll get through it.
Right.
And I mean, I grew up in a church too, so like, you're fine, go pray about it. I mean,
literally,
reality, you literally, like, yeah, like, you'll get through it. Yeah, you guys got it. And like, that's what it is. But it's also not being ignorant to life and your situations. You got to be able to get it out, man. You got to express yourself. You got to release, because too much is too much.
It is.
For anyone.
It is.
I think television program a lot of our young youth, a lot of people, period. Because like if you look like when you're younger, like you watch cartoons and stuff, and we programmed to be like tough men, like He-Man, Ultimate Warrior, Mr. T, and if you was the one that was to go to school, you would be labeled the nerd, or if you was the one that's doing some sewing or some cooking, you would be the soft one. So it kind of programs us to be tough and irresponsible. I think that's the word. But like, if you want to know what the youngsters is doing today, you just look at the TV. You know what I mean? They doing what Lil Durk talking about, or King Von, or all these negative rappers, and that's what they gravitate toward. They want to mimic that. They want to smoke a enemy pack. They want to pimp the girl, have the most money. Because you have to think about when we was young, you know, how this stuff will have effect on you. Like, we was watching like Cops and Robbers, and when that went off, we wanted to be robbers, and the other kids wanted to be cops. But of course, we wanted to be the robber because that was the tough part.
Right.
And so, you know, only the white kids, I don't know, you know, they wanted to be the cops, you know, because they was you know, how it was. But and then you'll say, for instance, like then when colors went off, you know, shit, we was breaking in Walmart, stealing out of Walmart, trying to steal Piltons. You know what I mean? So what we was watching, we was gravitating toward, and it's crazy because like I don't want to like put blame, but they use the internet, music, television to program us. You know, a lot of our characteristics derive from that stuff. You look at the common gangster, they get it from TV. We wasn't like that. We was loving people, speak to people, you know, so you don't even know them. People waving back in the days. Even in Fresno, used to go to Radcliffe for some 300 people up out there supporting them kids. But now they can't go because the old people or the people can't get out of the way of chairs or bullets because of all this stuff going on. But basically how they was, you know, after, you know, Colors, Minister Society and all that stuff, all the rap music start coming in. And this is what they mimicking. And if you can make this type of music or you could present these type of movies, which these people know your young generation gonna gravitate toward that negative. I don't care how much good is in it, they're gonna gravitate toward negativity. The people who are in charge of this Hollywood and these videos, they'll give you millions of dollars to make this type of music or to make this type of movies because they know what it's going to do to the masses of the people. So we have to be careful what we allow our kids to see, allow them to do. Like you said, it starts in the home. It starts with us. Because if you allow them to watch this stuff, this is programming them.
Yeah.
So if you want them to be programmed a different way, you have to be more physical with them. You got to
control the narrative.
Being with them, taking them to work, going fishing with them. You have to be hands-on, making sure they ain't spending their time wasting on this internet. You know what I'm saying? On this, you know, building a character that that'll mess them up.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, we was talking about. We actually that was literally last time's episode. We were talking about the fact that it was a gap. It was a little stretch between. I think it was like 19. Was it? I think we said 89, 90 to like 2002. You had the best stretch of positive Black imagery you will probably ever have ever. We had Living Single and Martin and Fresh Prince.
But you had the masses of the people doing when that type of stuff was on, even with that positive rap and stuff.
You still had
the masses of the people was doing that. You know, then they switched to this gangster rap. Look what they're doing. Now they on this drill.
But you saw the transition from the 80s. You had NWA. You had Cube came out of that. A bunch of guys came out of that. In the West Coast and the East Coast, you had Pac. You had, you know, well, Pac was really on the West first, but you had Pac. You had Mobb Deep. You had all those cats, right? And then all of a sudden, this wave of positive music, positive Black imagery came on the scene. It started to change because that was my generation. So as a kid, I got to see a choice. I had a choice to make now. It wasn't just the negative. Now I had something else. So at least I had a choice. Like in the 80s and then after 2002, there really is no choice. Like he's talking about today, you listen to what's out there, 90% of it is negative. You got 10% of a choice outside of that. If the kids don't have a choice, they can't make one.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying is like the programming goes beyond television and movies, but that does have a huge influence, like he said, on the young ones because that's what they're into all the time. That's what they're taking in. And so I was telling on the last episode about Boomerang, the movie Boomerang, and how influential it was on me because the movie Boomerang showed Black people in the professional environment and nobody was talking about them being Black. It was just like normal. It was
natural.
Right? And so I was like, wait a minute, whoa. The CEO to the marketing director to this person, they were all Black. But what I took from it was I could be that. I could do that. And I'm in marketing today because I watched that movie and I wanted to be that. And so you don't know like this, these outlets, what we're doing, we don't know what it's doing to the next generation. And so we got to make sure, like he said, put as much positivity, even if you got to do it yourself and just shut everything off because there is no option. Be the option. You know what I'm saying? Because man, that negative influence is negative influence no matter how you slice it, no matter how you look at it.
No matter where it comes from.
And even with DJ talking about how it came from our own lineage and our own fathers bring like generational stuff that they pass down that really doesn't help. You know what I'm saying? And we got to recognize that's not healthy and not do that for our kids. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just recognizing what's unhealthy and bringing in what's healthy into the environment. And then that'll bring in healthy mental
that changes their mindset. Yeah.
Because let's say you just asked him a question, how you deal with stress. Do we ask each other that?
We don't. You never sit down and you will not get nothing like this till I sit here and look you in your face, bro. Like, how you doing? What do you do to make yourself feel better when you feel you don't get
we don't do
nobody that. I mean, if you do, it's rare. Like even like I have my group of boys, we do talk to each other. We talk to each other every other day, every day, however it may be. When something's going on, we check in each other, we tap in. But it's just different when somebody really looks at you or calls you and asks you like, "Are you okay?" Like, not like, "Are you how you doing?" Like, no, not that, not the one that's on the surface. Like, "Are you okay?"
Are
Like,
you
how are
okay?
you doing on the inside? I can see what you're doing on the outside. You're still moving. You're still, progressing. Because you have to. You don't have a choice. But how are you doing?
We don't get that. We don't get that, and then we wonder.
You don't know how to respond to it.
We wonder why we don't know how to respond to it.
Because we never got it. Exactly.
Because the thing is like we don't. If you ask that question, probably not going to get a good enough answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a generic answer.
But it's just because of the fact that we don't practice it.
Right.
So what he was talking about is we're fathers. We have sons, daughters. It's our job to show them through us how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So like dad deals with his stress like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a positive way to deal with my issues, this, that, or the other. Dad listens to this kind of music. It's positive.
Right.
Dad watches this type of programming. Positive. Dad does this, this, and this. We have to be the example.
You see more positivity in dad than negativity.
Yeah.
So then what you're seeking is what dad had at that positive. Like, that's all you want. Like, you love to fish. All your kids love to fish because you took that and made that the best for you. And they've seen how much you love and enjoy it and how good it is for you and your pastime. So they've gravitated right to them. Now they can do any and everything that you can. And y'all take it as the same. You're ready to get out just to go breathe. You go grab your fishing pole, go to work, and just call it a day.
I like showing and then explaining.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I do it.
And that's exactly what we have to do in our own rights within our community. Like, we have different ways to express ourselves through stress and how we address our mental health. It's not going to be the same for you. It's not going to be the same for me as it is for you. But if we are able to come together and talk about however we may do it, it may hit him over here like, oh, that might work. I like that.
Yeah.
Let me try it.
Well, see, I just found out right now. My man likes to fish.
See?
That's probably his de-stressor. That's one of his de-stressors.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think about nothing but fishing when I'm up out there.
See, that's what I'm saying. See, like
I
used to fish with my dad. That was like a thing. And so I understand that because I know how to go get the fishing line, get the pole. I know what to do with it. I know where to get the bait.
I'm gaining, so it feels good. When you up out there, you gaining. If I'm not catching no fish, I don't feel good. I do get a peace of mind just sitting. But when you doing something and you like what you're doing, I guess you get a peace of mind. I'll be there all day.
Yeah.
If I'm catching fish,
because your mind is just
you're
on the
focus
fish
on this, and because that's your positive area, that's your zen, that's your zone. Like that's your comfort area. You're good there.
Yeah.
So
I want to say this too, just not to cut.
No, you're good.
I feel it's important, man, that we have to talk with our kids, man, explain to them. Because when I was little, younger boy, my dad used to tell us stuff like, you can't have no company over here, but he never told us why. You know what I'm saying? So of course, when you were saying the first moment we got when he wasn't present, we were sneaking company up over there,
right?
But in results, of this, my friends was doubling back, stealing from us. One of my sisters got violated, behind bringing someone into their comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But had he to explain to us, hey son, we don't have company over our house, and this is why.
Right.
Give me X, Y, Z, or whatever, such reason. Then I could understand, because I find myself now, like when I tell my kids something, they'll take it, but if I don't explain it to them, when I explain it to them, they feel much better. They come back and give me feedback and how they understand it, and I don't see them doing it. You know what I'm saying? What I ask them, but if I tell them something, I find myself later on just telling them, I find myself having to check them on it again and again, But so, like I say, once I explain it to them, I think that they get a better understanding and they start, trying to do that.
Right. Yeah, because like when DJ was we was talking about like, because I said so kind of thing, and it's like because I said so get you but
that
so
don't
far.
Work. And black people we was like that for a long time, and that got us messed up, brother. Because believe me, I wouldn't listen to my pop. This shit, excuse me, that didn't make no sense to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sneaking back, doubling back, because I didn't have no understanding. But if I had some understanding, the severity of it,
right,
Yeah, you know.
Because a lot of times kids ain't questioning you; they're questioning what you doing.
We still like mama their money.
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
know that's the red money. We don't know why we sit still. You know
it does right.
But if we knew it was for the rent and take care of us, you know what I'm talking about?
We gonna leave it alone.
Because she explained this. She also explained that the trust level breeds within the house, and we won't be trusted, and nobody believes it, and we didn't know that. So we was lying.
You just did what you did. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, because you just don't know. What you don't know, you don't know.
Exactly.
And so like the kids just want to know. Like my daughter, she asks why everything. Everything is why. When she was small, I used to think like, man, she's questioning me all the time. But then I had to look at it like, no, she's questioning the situation. She's questioning what's going on. Right. So she just wants to know what's happening. And so if I explain to her what's happening, she's good. So I started doing that, and now she's like, she's good. Like as long as I tell her, hey, baby girl, we do this because this, and this. My son, he's starting to talk, so he's starting to get the same thing, and he's following his sister's footsteps. So he asking why all the time. He does the same thing. But I was like, Jackson, this is, it's you got to tell them why. We gotta set the precedence ourselves as Black men in the home, as fathers, because they are watching us more than they're watching that TV, everything else. Because subconsciously they're taking stuff from us, and they're gonna take that onto what they do with their kids. And so if it's something positive, just like we talking right now, the generation before us, we talking about all the negative stuff that was going on, right? Yeah. We talking about it because we didn't want to pass it on, but how much stuff have we passed on if we're not conscious of that we do anyway, just because that's what was done to us.
Natural.
Unless we're aware of it. And then when you come aware of it, you're like, oh, I shouldn't do that. Let me stop doing that. But you do it anyway. Like when my wife was trying to get on me about my boy and being tough on him because he's a boy, I took it a little bit too far, in the beginning stages, right? But he's a little baby boy, but that was kind of passed down a little bit. And so like for me, it was like, okay, well, what about this is positive? What about this is negative? Let me take away the negative part of this, look at it different, approach it a different way. So I approach my son in a different way. But you don't know. So what you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like if you know you could do better, that's why we have podcasts like this, because what Saloome just said is true, what you just said is true, what I just said is true, but it's from three different perspectives, three different life experiences. But these brothers out here get to hear something that's different. And so now they get the knowledge, right? So they get a choice. I'm all about choices. If you notice, I keep saying choices.
You have to.
When you have choices, the decision making is usually better. When you don't have a choice, your situation is bad. Like Saloome's situation, when he was talking about stealing from the purse. If he would have known all the situations that were possible, he probably would have made the better decision.
But because he only knew
one of the things, he just did what he did because that's what he knew. When you know more, you can make better decisions. And my thing is just like giving people options. What I don't like in the Black community is often we given one option or only two when there's four, when there's really six, when there's really eight. You know what I'm saying? And so because we're only given two options, just like that's why I don't get into politics. Because why is there only one Republican and Democrat? Why can't we have 8 parties? Why can't we have 10? Where's everybody else? Where's the representation?
There's only two people.
Yeah, where's the representation of all these other people out there that don't believe what you believe in your red side, don't believe what you believe on your blue side? What about? So I can't get with it because there's only 2 choices. I'm taking the lesser of 2 evils.
Right, exactly.
What's that?
That makes sense.
So I need choices, and the Black community, we need choices. We need a community-based mental health. We need a real, like, science-based mental health. We need, like he was saying, positive imagery for mental health. We need dads and moms in the home bringing a good mental health situation for the kids. We need all of that in order to thrive and make the best decision, because I may not go to this healthcare system. I may go to my community.
Right.
I may go to mom and dad. I may not, but I have a choice. And if I have a choice, then I can make a good decision. And it's like I feel like in the Black community, we make those tough and bad decisions That's the timer. We make those tough and bad decisions because we just don't have limited. We just don't have the option.
I want to know at what point, if you know, in the Black community, that the kids started talking back to the parents, because that used to be unheard of, you know. But I also know television came on and the internet came on and started programming these kids. Because I see the program that my kids, sometimes I sneak and see the phone with a little bad kid. No, mama, yes, sir, Johnny. And mama try to take something to the kid. These kids be down there watching that. Mm-hmm. And the kid arguing with the mama about something. But I know that used to be never heard of, talking back, telling mama no, or raising your hand, nowhere in the Black community.
Right.
So where did that come from? Is it television? Is it the music?
Honestly, I think it
changed them.
I think it's our generation. Some of it, we took it a bit too far when it comes to, you were right. Do what I say. Yeah. You know, just because I said so. Right. When I said it only, when I said it only goes but so far, it still goes. Yeah. There are times when you don't need to know. You just need to sit down. Right. Right. But then there's other times when I need to explain to you why you're sitting down. Mm-hmm. And the thing is we got it mixed up to where we had so much of the other that we tried to push the opposite direction, where we were like, our parents were too hard on us or didn't tell us this. So we're going to be way too lenient. And then all of a sudden now you got kids talking back to you. You got kids doing what they want to do and saying this, that, and the other because they feel like they can. Like, we didn't feel like we could do that. We didn't feel like that wasn't an option in the house. Mm-hmm. It wasn't an option. Dad would.
That was it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like what DJ was talking about. Like Dad came home, he walked through that door. He was the hammer. He was the enforcer. You wasn't gonna do that. Like you looked at him.
The kids believe that they believe. They don't believe no more. Ain't no discipline. It's nothing once they took that really out. And I'm not saying it was right for you to discipline your kid, corporal injury or physically, because I really don't believe in that. But sometimes I may have to spank one of my kids. But like I say, because if you explain to them, you spend a lot of time talking. A lot of us don't want to do that. We feel like we don't want to waste our breath or waste our time, have to explain to them, but you do. Because if you stay consistent, it kind of like builds them. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to worry about that, you know. But sometimes they do get out of hand and be blatantly disrespectful, where you may have to get physical. But once they believe that you can't do nothing to them, and then they see all the TV shows and stuff that helps where their characteristics derive from, it's bad. You know, so, you know, they probably have to change that system up too. Yeah. Give them something to believe in.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. So I'm glad he brought that back because he was talking about the one that is positive. Talk to your kids, tell them why, all of that. But there's times, I ain't got to tell you why. Sit down. Yeah. It is what it is. But you have to understand which situation is which. Mm-hmm. And parents, like you said, don't want to do that. They either want to be really lenient or they just want to be like, just shut up and sit down. They don't want to go through the waves and the different peaks and valleys of it, because there's different times for different. Every punishment every crime deserves a different punishment. Like the punishment has to fit the crime. Right. That's what I always tell young parents, that how you discipline your kid, the punishment has to fit the crime. If the crime is this, then it deserves that. Right. If the crime is this, it only deserves that. And so if you look at it like that, and you're consistent with it, like he said, then you'll have the good result. But the problem is people get too lenient or they get too tough. And you got to have both, you know?
Yeah, you have to have a good in-between those, because like you said, if you're too light on them, they're going to try and walk all over you. And then if you're too heavy, they're going to start being sneaky. So you got to be able to lay down your rules, but communicate and understand effectively, because in the end, they're going to take what you teach and what you've given them and apply it in their own way. That's the same thing each one of us is doing. Everything we've been taught by our parents, whether good or bad or however we may have taken it, you've taken it now and applied it in your own life, whether you do what they used to do or you don't, but it's because of what they did. So we got to look at ourselves and how we're going to act and how we address our own mental health, our stress, or the things we watch or the things we hear, and know that has a deeper impact on our children and those around us than we may think. So
yeah, we talking about mental health, y'all. This is Black Father Legacy Podcast. We're gonna be back next episode. Same thing, mental health, but we're gonna come with a different angle with it. Stick with us.